what I only just realised? Generation Zero has a building mode. I was doing some post-review googling and saw it was part of a recent update. I like how such a major change to the game never came up once in the several hours I played and wasn't even hinted at. Still, it's hardly enough for me to go back and waste more of my time with it. I have better things to waste my time doing, like chores, or baiting gamers on the internet. So this week we can get on with the game that I wanted to talk about last week, that being A Hat in Time, which is a third-person platformer by a studio called Gears for Breakfast, which is like the best name for a studio ever. A Hat in Time follows a girl named, Hat Kid. Well, she doesn't really seem to have a proper name. She never really talks or introduces herself to anyone. I'd say she's a silent protagonist, but she does have a few voiced exclamations, so I think it's more of a social anxiety thing. Anyway, Hat Kid is flying in her spaceship, napping away when her ship grinds to a halt, jostling her awake and forcing her to inspect whatever interrupted her journey home.
Wait, home from where though?
Yeah, where was this kid coming from?
Please hold all questions until the end. What?
Go to the bathroom.
Oh, fucking fine.
Hey everybody, let's just fucking stop, because the PlayStation needs to use the fucking toilet. Again!
Fuck that, I'm hourly. The kid discovers her ship was stopped by a mafia goon outside who is tapping on the glass, demanding we pay a toll for flying above his planet.
How's he breathing in space?
What did I say about questions?
Yeah, and he doesn't appear to have a ship of his own, so how did he get here?
Quiet, the pair of you. A brief scuffle with the mafia man causes a breach in the ship, and this causes the magical timepieces that were powering the ship to scatter and fall to the planet below, along with us and the goon and fucking what now?
Yeah, also, how did the kid and the mafia dude survive this fall? You know, what with hundreds of miles of space and all.
It's a video game, okay? It doesn't have to make sense. If all video games were realistic, then it would make for a very boring medium. Now sit down, shut up, and eat your fucking Doritos while I talk about the game, okay? And no, you cannot go to the bathroom again. Once we land on the planet, we discover a small girl with a mustache who steals one of the timepieces. We're never given the complete rundown on what they do. All I know is they have weird temporal properties that would probably make the Doctor angry. My guess is that one of their uses has to do with crossing light-year distances quickly or something along those lines. The mustache girl tells us she's fighting the Mafia and wants our help, and even gives up one of the timepieces to forge an alliance. A Hat in Time reminds me of the 3D Super Mario titles from the early 2000s, and that might be why I like it so much. I remember the first time I booted it up, I thought to myself, this reminds me a lot of Super Mario Galaxy, which was my favourite Super Mario game. I said a minute ago that it's a 3D platformer, and a lot of effort has gone into making the platforming and just getting around to be a lot of fun. The controls are tight and intuitive, you can clear a lot of distance with a clever combination of double jumps and air dives, and your basic movement speed is quite impressive. But I guess we are playing as a child with a lot of energy, can't wait for her to grow up and be like the rest of us adults, where just climbing up the stairs is exhausting. The game as a whole is very fun. There aren't too many mechanics to mess around with that you wouldn't find in other 3D platformers. You can wall jump, there's a grappling hook power you get at some point, you can tightrope walk across cables, contend with platforms that collapse when you stand on them for too long, and bounce on certain objects in levels to reach greater heights. All the standard affair for a game like this. But what is A Hat in Time's USP, or unique selling point? Well, I guess it's the hats. You can craft and wear a variety of different hats. Each have an inherent ability. Your starting top hat can be used to guide you towards your current objective in the map. One hat grants you a sprint ability that can be upgraded into the ability to summon a scooter later on. One is a cool witchy hat that lets you toss explosive potions. And one is this weird ice hat that lets you turn into a block of ice so you can bounce off certain platforms.
That last one sounds like a bit of a gimmick.
Yeah, it kind of is. I guess I just wanted to use the cute winter hat they made. Staying on the subject of the hats, you can find balls of yarn scattered around the levels, and sometimes this unlocks a new hat schematic, or skimhatic if you will. And once you have enough, you can put the hat together. These balls of yarn aren't too uncommon, so it's not too difficult to make all the hats, and their placement isn't too obtuse. You also collect these pond things, which is what the game calls your basic currency, and that allows you to buy badges for your hats and pins so you can wear more badges, and each badge has an effect. My main three ended up being the one that turns your sprinting power into a scooter because the scooter is cool, I don't care what you say, the grappling hook one, and the one that draws ponds towards you. But there are plenty of others, some of which are completely useless, but the game outright tells you that they're useless, so you don't have to buy them if you don't want to. Though I do wonder why they're there at all. Maybe as a joke, I suppose? Not a very funny one, but they cannot all be, and I suppose the rest of the game more than makes up for this. It's quite the charming and amusing adventure with some pretty good writing and vocal performances. The story was weird but fun. We first land in Mafia Town, and help the mustache girl dethrone the mafia leader. But when she starts showing signs of being just as bad, if not worse, than the actual bad guys that she hates, we decide it might be better not to work with her and give her all our timepieces. She doesn't take this well, picks our pocket for half of our currency, then legs it. Her goal now is to collect all the timepieces before we can. The game has an interesting relationship with the very concept of tone. We go from a bright, colourful seaside town to a movie studio where we investigate murder mysteries and become a pop diva. Well, a movie diva, I just wanted to say pop diva. Then it's off to a spooky forest to have our soul soul taken by a ghost for a spot of horror. It's a weird experience, but not an unenjoyable one. There is this one section where you're questioned by crows, and they ask you things similar to what a security system might ask you. You know, like name your first pet or relative names and shit like that. They even have you look at one of those scrambled word pictures and solve it for them, pretending it's a scientific equation. My favourite question though was, what body part are you most ashamed of? Now, being the adult that my driving licence insists that I am, and brimming with the maturity and responsibility that such a position would carry, I immediately abused the ability to type in my own answer and wrote anus. The game lets you enter a custom word by typing it in, and I chose anus. Later, as we're exploring the studio trying to avoid being caught, we see some of these crows sitting and laughing, and their discussion centres around how hideous my anus is, and how they're so glad that it isn't their anus. And it took me a good couple of minutes to stop laughing because apparently I'm a child. Look mate, you give me the ability to enter custom words into a game and don't have a profanity filter, I'm going to abuse it. There are plenty of better examples of the game's humour and such, but this is the example I chose, so screw you. I really like the boss fights in this game. I enjoy bosses with a puzzle element when they're of course the rule, not the exception. Bed of Chaos from Dark Souls, or Dragon God from Demon Souls. A Hat in Time sets them up quite nicely. It's not quite a case of do a thing 3 times to win. All you've got to do is get a bunch of hits on the boss to take him down, but the fights are clever and exciting and I always enjoyed doing them. My favourite fight was against the conductor in the movie studio bit, because he's completely insane. A Hat in Time isn't a very long game, I beat it in just under a weekend, but it was plenty of fun while it was there, and I'm kinda happy to not have a game go longer than it has to. It definitely scratched the itch I had to play Mario games. I don't have a modern Nintendo console, I can't help it. I really want to play Mario Odyssey, I just can't, god damn it. Honestly, there's not a lot left to be said. I could mention the one glitch I actually noticed. I mean, I died on a wall hanging bit at one point and then respawned in the same animation. It was fixed as soon as I started walking though. An entire area you can unlock is just an optional free roam map which has nothing to do in it. The final stage is a lava castle which you'd probably see in any other 3D bloody platformer. Although I did have fun traversing the castle, so I guess I can't be too mad at it. The final boss fight was a lot of fun, I really enjoyed it, even if it does become impossible to lose it after a certain point. There are these optional time rift missions, they can be a bit annoying to locate but they're kind of fun to do. And you can revisit missions whenever you like to replay them. I mean, it's plenty of fun, yeah, it's a fun little game, and I don't really have anything else to say about it. I don't mean that in a bad way, I just mean A Hat in Time does not have a lot going on for it. However, what it does have is really good, it's a quality over quantity approach, which I really appreciate. And I think that's it, I think we're done, I don't have anything else to say about it. Good game, check it out. It does have some DLC available, I think I'm going to go check that out after I finish my latest playthrough of Dark Souls Remastered. I'm still bitter about earlier this week when I was fighting Ornstein and Smo, and in Smo I had him to like maybe 1 hit left, and he did this to me, twat.
Sucker.